Hi, my name is Kathy Seal, and I own the Quilt Patch in Tecumseh, Michigan. And a few months, maybe 6 months ago, I found these awesome templates called Sweet and Sassy Templates by Creative Grids, and they are the first nested templates that I've ever worked with. And so I started playing with them and came up with a pattern over here, and we named it Nested Gems. And I just cannot wait to show you how much fun you can have working with the 2.5-inch sets that are on the market, or going into your stash and pulling out and having fun with 2.5-inch strips. So let's go and do our vocabulary words for today so that we know what piece of the template we're working with. The very inside we're going to call the center. The next one we're going to call the inner, and then the outer we're going to call the outer, so that we all know what we're talking about today when we're going through these. So you're going to go through and choose out your strips, whichever mixing matching of for the centers, and we're going to take the template. Now, one of the best things about Creative Grid is it has the anti-skid all the way around the outside, so these templates don't move once you've pressed them down. It's a little less than 2.5 inches, so that gives you the opportunity, after you've worked with your strips, you don't have to be so careful with them, because once you lay this down, you can trim top and bottom, so that if you're doing a stack of 2.5-inch strips, then you don't have to worry so much about having all these edges being spot on, because you can go in and trim. So you're going to trim this, you're going to trim top and bottom, and then you're just going to move down the strip, getting as many centers as you want out of that color. So once we have our centers cut, we're going to take and mix and match for the next color that's going to go around this skinny frame. We're going to go in and choose a whole bunch of different ones that we're going to match up to that framing fabric. When you take your strip, you're going to cut it in half, just like this. For every one, you're going to get 5 different centers with that color on it. So we're going to take the first skinny strip, just like this, and we're going to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to take these guys and put them just like this. We have to move it down from the top at least a 1/2 inch, because we need to have enough when we fold it over to be able to get the angle going up. So we have to start staggered down just a little bit, and then when you're sewing these on, make sure that you butt them up right next to one another. You do not need to leave a gap in between there. You're just going to be stitching them down just like this, adding them all onto this strip. And once they're all sewn, we're going to come in, they look just like this. We're going to go to the ironing board, and we're always going to press underneath the seam allowance, underneath the new strip. So for the entire rest of the quilt, we know the pressing stays the same. These pieces always get pressed underneath the new strip. Then we're going to come in and we're going to use the inner template, and we're going to line this up just like this, and we're going to match this up with the top here and with the long side right here, and you're going to cut right there. Then you're going to slide the template down just like this, and it's right in between where these guys were put together, and you can hardly see it because we butted them so close on the strip that we're going to just go line it up just like this, and we're going to make a cut here. Then we're going to pick the template up and we're going to move it down, and we're going to make the cut right here. So from this cut right here, you're going to get a piece that looks just like that. Now you're going to take all those pieces and you're going to use this other strip here. We're going to get it out, and we're going to do the exact same thing for the other side. You're going to take all the pieces that you took off that strip, and you're going to line them up and sew 1/4 inch, and then you're going to press them always to the new strip, and you start it a little bit down, and you're using the inner template, and we're going to line it up just like that, and we're going to cut exactly like we just did. So then you're going to end up with a piece that looks just like that. Once you have those done, guess what? We don't do anything different. We're going to do the 2 sides. We're going to take this. Now we're going up. This angle is going up. So when I flip it over, that means that the angle will go down. I don't necessarily need to butt this to the edge. I can go really close up there, and I'm going to sew them all on, and I'm going to press them to the new strip. I'm going to use my template and I'm going to cut them apart. And this is what we end up with. When we're all done, having done both sides of that, we're going to end up with this guy right here. And it's framed all the way around the outside. And then we're going to use the inner template, and we are going to center that in the middle, just like that. And then we're going to go and we're going to cut the pieces off. We're just going to sliver trim all those little bits off around the outside. And the best part of this is that every single time that you go through and sew and press, you get to sliver trim up so that the end result ends up being spot on and the blocks go together beautifully. So now we look like this. Now, if you're not comfortable with eyeballing the center of this, I sleep really well at night eyeballing it, but if you're not comfortable with that, all you have to do before you trim it, you're going to fold this over just like this, and you're going to make some creases. Then you're going to go just like this, and you're going to fold it over again, just like that, and you're going to make some creases. And then they have little registration lines that you can line those crease marks up, and then you know you're right in the middle, okay? So either way you do it, you have to go around the outside and trim this. So now that we have this totally trimmed up and it's ready to go, now it's time to go and start mixing and matching those blocks with whatever color you want the outside to be. For every 2 of these, you're going to need 1 strip. So let's go in and start playing and learning how to do that. You're going to do nothing different than you did before. You're going to take this just like this. You're going to sew them on 1/4 inch seam. You're going to open it up just like that, press it underneath the new strip, and then you're going to come and use the outer template to make your trim, and you're going to trim just like this, and you're going to slide it down and trim, and then you're going to go and do the other side exactly the same way. Once you have those guys done, in order to, because it's slightly wasteful in that we're going to be trimming the top and bottom to get it to the right size, but if I leave these large, I'm not going to be able to get 2 blocks completely framed with 1 strip. So we want to go in when it looks top and bottom with the wide strip on, we want to go in and center this, and we want to trim this and trim this, and with these 2 pieces gone, you're going to have plenty of fabric with that 1 strip to be able to go around those blocks. You're going to go and do that whole thing again where you sew and you trim, and then you end up looking like this, where it's completely surrounded and framed with the outer fabric. And then you take, for the last time through, you're going to take your template. Now these 2 sides have been cut, so all you have to do is center this way and this way, and you're going to trim just like this, and just like this, and you end up with this shape absolutely perfect, and they fit together like a dream. So once you have your stack of blocks that you need for this project, it's time to come in and start setting them together. So we tried to make it a little bit easier. Instead of having to take this template and figure out how big this rhombus shape would have to be, because I found out it's not a diamond, it's a rhombus. So instead of having to figure out what shape this would be or the size of this with a seam allowance, all I did was go in and cut the full rhombus shape for all the way around the outside. And then it's put together diagonally. So after you've separated all your colors, you're going to go and piece it diagonally and put a full block on the top and bottom of each row. And once you have the whole inside of it pieced, you're going to press, get it all nice and pressed, and then you're going to take just a regular ruler, and again, I have to say I love Creative Grids rulers because it has the no skid around the outside, and the best part, or one of the added things to it, is that it's kind of smokes the edge, so when you lay it here, you can easily find 1/4 inch because that's how wide on this side and on the top of that no skid grid is. So we are going to lay this just like this. Now, let's back it off here and figure out how far from the edge. The tip of this right here, where you see that yellow, has to be 1/4 of an inch past that, so that when we sew the border on, we're not going to cut into this tip. So we're going to place this ruler with the 1/4 of an inch right at the tips, and then we are going to go in and cut and cut. So this comes off, and this comes off just like this. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to do the same thing, 1/4 inch past that tip. I'm going to come just like this, and I'm going to trim that, and I'm going to trim all the way around the outside. And then we didn't have to mess with having to go and make half blocks this way and half blocks this way, and then how to do the corner. The only downside to doing this is that you've exposed a bias edge here, because you've taken and you've cut that guy. So this is a little stretchy here. So we solved that problem too. We go in and get the Mary Ellen's Best Press, which is just a fabulous product for stabilizing the outside. And I'll go to the ironing board and I will give this a light spritz and then iron that dry. And it stabilizes that edge so that even if you have a bias edge, the border will go on nicely. So we have gone all the way around. We're going to go and put our borders on. And we had a ball playing with all our fabrics. I hope that you have fun working with the templates. Thanks for watching.